Starting early is key to a secure retirement, allowing individuals to leverage the power of compound interest. Small, consistent contributions to retirement accounts from a young age can grow significantly over time. Maximizing retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs are crucial, offering tax advantages and steady growth. Employer matching contributions should be fully utilized. A diversified investment portfolio, adjusted regularly to match goals and risk tolerance, helps manage risk and enhance returns. Younger people can afford more risk with stocks, while those nearing retirement should focus on preserving capital. Understanding Social Security and Medicare are vital. Timing Social Security benefits strategically can maximize income, while timely Medicare enrollment in choosing the right coverage options, such as Medigap or Medicare Advantage, can help manage healthcare costs effectively. Early and informed retirement planning lays the groundwork for financial security and a comfortable future.
Catherine, if you can get us started, with longer lifespans and increasing healthcare costs, what are key strategies that you recommend for ensuring financial security through retirement?
Well, one of the first things that we see in our research is many people do not yet have a financial strategy for retirement. So it starts with the very basics, having a vision of when and how you want to retire, looking at your savings and investments, doing some goal setting, and then creating a roadmap to get there. The other thing that's very important in your plan, though, is to have contingency plans, because often life does not turn out the way we expect.
That's for sure. And we're going to get into it today. Will the science give us even more surprises if suddenly people start living longer?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm optimistic about that. And I'm looking at Aubrey. Hopefully he'll be able to chime in. But the people have the potential to live longer than ever before. And in our survey work, we see that people are already thinking on those terms, with a fair number already planning and expecting to live to 100 or older. And people are rethinking their time in the workforce relative to retirement, because we've got to be able to finance those longer lives.
Gary, if people eventually live well beyond 100 years, how should individuals and institutional investors rethink their investment strategies if retirement needs to last perhaps decades longer than originally thought?
Well, first of all, Andy, if we are going to be living into our hundreds, then retiring when we're 60 years old probably isn't going to be realistic. Now, for people like us who have desk jobs or jobs where we're just working with our minds all the time, that's going to be easier. I think if you have a physical job, if you're working construction, that's going to be hard to do into your 80s. And so the two things that I would suggest to people, one is to start to think about the amount of time that you have. And, if you're expecting your retirement to last 5 years versus 25 years, a quarter of a century, your risk tolerance and your asset allocation has to change based on that. A lot of people, when they retire, simply say, well, I shouldn't be invested in equities, and that's fine. I understand that. But if your retirement time frame is all of a sudden 2-3 decades, then you need to shift that. And the other thing that I would mention is I was on the phone last night. I called my dad. He's in his mid 80s. And I called him last night at about 8 o'clock just to say hi, see how he was doing. And he answered. He said, hey, listen, I don't have a lot of time to talk right now. I'm still in the office. And that's okay. It's okay to think about working longer. And then I guess the final thing I would mention is I think it's important for people to educate themselves on finance. Most people don't get an education on how to balance their checkbook or how to think about stocks versus bonds. A lot of people are intimidated and don't even know what questions to ask a registered investment advisor. And that's not your fault. We don't teach that in school. We should, but we don't. Even though it's not your fault, it is your responsibility to do something about it. And, I get that it can be intimidating for a lot of people, but there's a lot of financial education available, a lot of people who can help. And, the sooner you start to learn about that, I think the better off you're going to be, the better outcome you're going to get.
Okay, I think we're going to check to see if Aubrey has audio. We're on the fly. Okay, while that's happening, I think, Marci, you have a thought.
I do. I think I defer to all of you on the investment side of things, but I think one thing that people don't think about enough is that some of the ways we spend and the budgets we need have to do with what we expect in our housing. It's probably the biggest expense that most people have in their lives, especially as we age. And our organization is really doing a lot of research on co-living, especially intergenerational co-living, as a way to not only save costs, and it certainly is obviously a way to save costs, but a way to build community. And I think sometimes we think of savings as kind of putting us in a scarcity mindset. And what if there are some ways where we could lower our expenses, but increase our social connection, which we know is so crucial as we age? So just want to throw that out there, that intergenerational co-housing, roommates, all kinds of communal living are really an interesting area to explore.
Marci, you talk a lot about finding second careers in retirement. How do you see retirees balancing the need for continued income versus pursuing new passions?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to be separated, right? So I've been saying for ages, the things we need at this life stage are purpose, passion, and a paycheck. And ideally, if you can find ways that you get those three things out of activities that give you joy and meaning and social connection, obviously that is the ideal situation. There are people who need to separate, right? Who do something for income, something for meaning, something for connection. But those extra years we've been talking about do not come with a prepaid gift card, right? We all have to figure out, how do we get the combination of things we need to keep us contributing, connected, and fulfilled as we age, and to match the income thing. So it's all about kind of thinking about these as moving parts that you constantly need to tweak and adjust. Some of the work we do will build on the work we've done before, but it is really common to discover new passions, to go back to school, to get a new credential, to continue to learn if we're going to continue to contribute for another decade or two.
Aubrey or Catherine, anything to add?
I could not agree with Marci more. And longer lives and how we think about our time, especially as we may be transitioning out of the workforce, it's so important to stay active and involved. And the good news is we see people with those intentions. And every day there's more and more possibilities and new ways, new things to do, new ways to engage. So it's something that we all should keep our hearts and minds open and share the news with our friends. I think your panelists here are retirement enthusiasts or later in life enthusiasts, what we're going to do with this extra time. Not everybody is thinking that way yet. So we've got to keep conversations going.
It does require a change in thinking. I'm trying to see if Aubrey's devices are working or not. Unfortunately, we don't have audio. So with that, I think we're going to go to segment 2.